Alright, what's going on guys, it's Rest, and it's here, it's Outriders Day. The demo is available for everyone to download for free on every single platform, and I guess the question is, should you try it out? Well, a simple answer for most people is probably yes, since it's free, and it's a demo, so you get to keep it through up to the launch of the game to see if you enjoyed and to see if you want to purchase the full game. But if you want a little bit more explanation to see if you even want to download it in the first place, I hope this video can help you guys out. These are just my honest opinions from playing the game. Now from my perspective, I was going into this game completely neutral. I wasn't super hyped about it, and I also didn't think the game was going to do poorly. I just was gonna go in since it's a looter shooter, and since I enjoyed looter shooters, I figured I would probably enjoy this game. So with that being said, I am level 7 world tier 5 on my max character. I've played the game since its launch, and I'm going to give you guys my opinions on what I think so far. Now, aside all the problems we had when the demo first launched, there was a bunch of server issues. A lot of people couldn't play the game. Honestly, I think almost everybody couldn't play the game for a good bit, but they eventually resolved them pretty quickly and everybody got into the game. I was one of the few, even after it got resolved, I couldn't play for about another 15 minutes. But again, with all that aside, how is the actual game itself, or at least the demo? So I would say first things first, starting off, you need to go into this knowing that it is an RPG on top of a looter shooter. And the reason I'm saying that is there is a lot of story in this game, a lot more than I actually thought was going to be in it. And this is just a demo, and I would honestly say a lot of this demo is very, very story driven. Yes, there's some side quests and obviously the main quest itself where you get to fight a lot of enemies, but if you actually care about the lore and want to know more about the story, you're going to be very, very pleased with this demo. There are a lot of cutscenes, and I mean a lot of cutscenes. And I know it kind of sounds like I'm saying that in a bad way, which it's not, but I'm just setting expectations that if you want to learn more about the story, this is going to be good. But if you want to strictly focus on gameplay to see if you enjoy it, it's there, but you do have to get through a lot of cutscenes and a lot of story content. But on the good side, you can skip it if you care absolutely nothing about the story. You can just get rid of it and go right into combat. Now, speaking of story, I honestly was completely shocked at how well it's actually turning out. Now, again, this is my opinion. Some other people might think that it's absolutely awful, but as for me, I'm thoroughly enjoying and want to learn more about what's going on in this world. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the TLDR is that there's this secret anomaly, as they call it in the game, that is basically just taken over the world. Certain events have happened with your character where things have completely changed on the other aspects of other characters. You'll understand what I'm talking about if you play the demo, and it's giving you a whole new look on the world. And of course, you're obviously getting these crazy superpowers, which is also the second aspect of the game, which is all about looting and making your character build. So talking about that, how is that performing in the beta? Well, you can only get to level 7, which is obviously going to be a thing since it's just the demo. You're not going to be able to get to max level. So you're going to have access to 4 of your abilities, and then you have essentially what 2 skill points are. I think they're called class points, but essentially the equivalent of skill points you can put in your skill trees. Now, these skill trees are huge, and I'm actually going to make a video on all 4 of the characters, going over their whole skill tree and showing all their abilities. So if you guys like to see that, be sure to stick around. I'll be trying to get these out as fast as I possibly can, but I'm gonna have to get all the characters to level 7 first. So even with the little taste that we have, I can go on and tell you that this game is going to be very, very good for character builds and just in-depth builds and just anything. It's because the amount of skills that you actually have are ridiculous. Like if you take a look at some of these skill trees, there is so many things you can spec into, and on top of that, you also have your abilities that play into these skills as well. And on top of all of that, you also have your mods that can change the way you play your character. So speaking of mods, these mods are crazy. Like from what it seems, if you have a blue tier item, which is pretty much the highest you can get in the demo, I've seen some people actually get some legendary weapons. So you can farm for legendaries to carry into the full game right now. It's just extremely rare to get one, but blue armor is where you actually start to get mods on your gear. Green gear has like stat bonuses, but the blue and up is where you start to get these actual mods that are game changing. I've seen mods that have, when you do damage, you generate shields, which is literally just the whole trickster's itself. So now you just have your weapon. You can literally be the trickster and a devastator at the same time. I've had a mod where you shoot an enemy, it inflicts a burn, which is really good. Then what is really crazy is the armor mods. There are armor mods in the game that can completely change the way your skill works or just buff it an insane amount. I started off as the Pyromancer, so the Thermal Bomb is actually a very, very good skill. I highly would recommend using that, but I got a piece of armor that literally gave me an extra charge on each cooldown, so I could throw 2 Thermal Bombs out on the cooldown, and then I could further spec into my build to decrease the Thermal Bomb cooldown by 15% and increase the damage of it. And I'm just spamming Thermal Bombs everywhere now, and I'm just level 7. Like, I can only imagine once you get 30 and once you have access to legendary gear, which not only has set bonuses and perks itself for your specific classes, you also can get mods on these too, on things like I just said. So I'm pretty sure for the Pyromancer, a legendary set is to increase the thermal bomb damage by like 50%, and it does something else. On top of all your legendary gear having mods, they could also have thermal bomb mods in it, so to buff it even more. So you have 2 charges. So now you have 2 charges on top of the set bonus damage and the other perk that it gives, on top of your other armor pieces that can also give you thermal bomb increases. And that's just for Thermal Bomb. Like, there's 8 different abilities in the game. Thermal Bomb is one of the easiest ones just to go over because that's what I've used the most. But like, I'm telling you, like, the amount of builds and everything that's going to come out of this is just ridiculous. And this, and like I said, this is just the demo, and you can already get these crazy things. So imagine once we get higher tier gear. So we went over the story, the gear, the builds, the mods. Now let's actually start talking about the gunplay. The gunplay in this game is actually very fun. I know a lot of people saw the gunplay thinking that it was going to be very slow paced. Well, that is the absolute opposite of this game. If you don't know, each of the 4 classes actually have their own healing abilities. So the game really is focusing on you doing damage and healing yourself, so you can just keep doing damage over and over again. So that means that this game can be very fast paced, and with the way the gameplay is, it is indeed very, very fast paced. The most fun I've had so far is literally just having a shotgun, running up as the Pyromancer, setting everything on fire, and just constantly healing, because you're burning everything and just shotgunning everything. Now, even with the game being very fast paced, you can still use things like snipers, and they're very satisfying. Getting a crit on these enemies, just insta killing them, is very, very good. And if you have mods that pair well with it, you're gonna have a bunch of fun. But now, even with all the positive I've been saying about this demo so far, I am gonna point out the negatives, and I'm gonna segue it into what the gunplay I was talking about, and that is the overall feel of the game. Now, before you click off the video, I do not think this game feels bad. I just think that it is a little clunky, so to speak, and it's specifically with things like motion blur and strafing. Now, if you 80 strafe in the game, which obviously you don't really have to do in a PvE game, but it still affects if you don't eventually hit it and you see your character just kind of zoom everywhere. It's very not satisfying, and obviously this can be fixed easily before the game comes out. This is just constructive criticism I'm giving, and again, this is just my opinions and personal thoughts. And also, on top of that, when I was talking about the motion blur, when you sprint in this game, the motion blur is just absurd. Like the amount of just blurriness you see, if you don't like it, you are gonna immediately notice it. And this definitely needs to be fixed. But good news, they have already came out on Twitter saying that there is going to be a motion blur option when the full game releases. It is just in the demo that they do not have one. So that is very, very good. Other things, when I'm trying to get into cover, sometimes it seems like my character just refuses to get into cover. I don't know if they need to like increase the distance when you hit, you know, space or whatever your cover button is if you're playing on controller, to actually get into cover, because I've literally been on walls sometimes hitting space, and my character just will not get against the wall. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm just doing something wrong, but in my experience, that needs to be tweaked a little bit. But honestly, I think that is about it. You know, you could make an argument when you're sprinting, maybe the camera shouldn't zoom out as much, but other than that, like everything else I've seen in this beta, this game looks very, very promising. The fact that the only complaints I've had so far is literally with just issues that can easily be fixed when the game launches. It's not like dramatic game-changing issues. It's literally just like simple movement issues that can easily be touched up on. Like, that is a good sign for a game. We could have went into this having mods like actually not be noticeable or really do anything. You know, your abilities not really do anything. But in my opinion, like every little aspect of this game, weapons and mods you get, they are completely noticeable if you just actually look in and read what they do. So if you watch this whole video, first of all, thank you, but I really hope this helped you out and decide if you should download and give time and try the demo out. Again, it is free. It lasts pretty much up until the release of the game. It might honestly even last after, since it's just a demo, just to give you a taste to see if you would like to play it. But I would 100% give it a chance. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it probably a 7 out of 10, or maybe even an 8 out of 10. The movement stuff I was talking about really does bring the game down a little bit for me, but it's not enough to make it where the game is just a detriment to play. Like, it's still very fun to play. It's just, if you tweak that stuff a little bit, it's definitely gonna go up in the ranks. But that is all for me. If you enjoyed and found this video helpful in any way, consider subscribing and dropping a like. It's free. It really helps me out, and I truly appreciate it. Also, I'm definitely going to be posting more Outriders content. Like I said, I'm going to be posting those character guides, and obviously I'm going to be posting some other stuff as well. But be sure to stick around, and I will keep all of you up to date. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.